Hello everybody, I am Nex of the YouTube/BitChute channel, The Legendary Behemoth, and I am here to drop some MEW on you today. This is the pilot episode of My Experience With, which is a review, but it's not a review, although it is a review, since, reviews are subjective anyway. You might like something and I might dislike it, or you might dislike something and that I might like. So we're just going to call it My Experience With. So I'm going to break down the format for you real quick here. We've got the intro section of the review, which I'm going to talk about some basic stuff. Part 1, which gets into the publisher's blurb. Part 2, which talks about the technical end of things. Part 3, which is going to be the graphical end of things. Part 4 is going to be the sound. Part 5 is going to be the big one, which is gameplay. And of course, Part 6 to wrap it all together in a neat little bow. So, let's get into this, shall we? Before we get too deep into the last portion of the year and closer to the release of Pokemon Sword and Shield, we're going to have us a chat about Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. As you may recall, or have noticed if you're on the channel, that I streamed my playthrough on Twitch and posted episodes to YouTube and BitChute as I went. So I decided I'm going to give my final thoughts on the game in this video. The pilot episode of MEW. So let's jump into my experience with Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. For the Nintendo Switch, obviously. So we're going to start off by having us look at the publisher's stinger, or in this case the back of the box. Of course, the back of the box doesn't actually say anything but the technical specs and have a little, map of the Kanto region. So let's jump to the website then, which says, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee bring the experience of a classic Pokemon RPG to the Nintendo Switch, with gameplay that is easily approachable for newcomers to the series, but is also deep enough to keep veteran trainers on their toes. You may as well have just stuck a sticker on it that says it's Pokemon, you're going to buy it. That's how I feel about that. So, moving right along. On the technical end of things, the game runs really well. I don't think I spotted too many frame rate drops in either docked or handheld mode, although they were more noticeable in handheld mode. The only thing really technically here is there's a bit of noticeable halt in battles while the opposing AI thinks about what it's going to do. And sometimes this can feel like quite a while, especially in a timed battle where Mewtwo's thinking about what he's going to do for the next 30 seconds and you've only got 5 minutes to beat him. Load times are generally fast all over, and it runs very well on the Switch. So I've really only got the complaint about the AI in terms of the technical aspect of things. I'm sure if there were more options, this would be a much, much deeper section, but it's a console game, so you get what you get. Graphically, the game looks good. Pokemon look great, characters look great, the moves and animations look... can't win them all, can we? They could be animated better. Some of them do look lazy, cough cough, double kick. Some of them look sloppy. Waterfall, or not waterfall, surf. Surf just looks kind of sloppy. That said, the animations of the trainers while in battle bring a lot of personality to them and the game. And I found myself noticing when they weren't there when I went back and finished Omega Ruby for the second time. The actual Don fan in the room is the kind of bleh attack animations in the reused trainer models. Of course, I can understand the reasons for the original reuse of the trainer models back in the day with Pokemon Red and Blue and Yellow and even Fire Red and Leaf Green later on, but there's no real excuse for it today. I mean, unless we just wanted to pay homage to the original games, which I don't think is the case, because there were some things that would not float by the ESRB back in those games today. So yeah, I just don't understand the reason for the reused trainer models, and well, I'll digress and move on to the next portion. The game sounds great. Music in Pokemon's always been fantastic, so there's really no change there. Sound design, general sound design of the world it's okay. Could be a bit better. There are some portions that seem a little bit off, but that's just my personal audiophile coming out and biting me in the butt. The Pokemon cries. I originally thought they should have been updated to how they sound in the anime and just, how they did with Pikachu and Eevee, but a recent interview they did mention that would require them to translate Pokemon names and cries into 70 plus or so different languages, and that's a bit excessive. So I am going to let that slide. However, Pikachu and Eevee sound amazing. The voice actresses hit it out of the park with these two. I think they've got between 14 and 20 minutes of recording sounds each, if I'm remembering correctly. I mean, you can find them all on YouTube at some point. They're fantastically done. Just gotta put that out there, leave it out there. There it sits. Gameplay. Oh boy, what can I say here? There's a lot to love. Playing with your partner Pokemon feels super cute, but at the same time it feels like a stripped down version of Pokemon and Me. Battles, of course, are fantastic, even if the AI does take its sweet time sometimes. Battling is, of course, Pokemon. It's what the game is, besides catching. Some of the additions to the overworld are so great that I never want to see them removed. Substituting your partner Pokemon's tail wiggle for the item finder is a stroke of genius. It adds to the adorableness of the game. I love it. Having follower Pokemon is a fun reminder of how that should be in every Pokemon game and never be removed again, please, Game Freak. And of course, making some of them rideable, replacing the bike, is a fantastic touch. I do enjoy that very much. I, of course, also enjoy seeing the Pokemon in the overworld. Now, some people dislike this. I'm not one of them. I do love being able to see what I could possibly be catching, see what I'm going to bump into, see if I can avoid what I can avoid. I think it's a fantastic addition. Of course, the only major hitch to the gameplay is the catching mechanic, which is the majority of the game, sadly. And this makes me a sad Pancham. The motion controls combined with the timing and whatnot ripped from Pokemon Go is just 100% not my cup of tea. Especially since I had a lot of trouble with the motion controls, just, flinging my balls around willy-nilly despite my motions mostly being spot on. Thankfully, handheld mode helps out a lot with this, and you get tons of balls, so there's no camping Pokestops or microtransactions, unless you count the Pokeball Plus and Mew. It would have been really nice to have the handheld gyro controls with the Pro Controller while in dock mode. So, that's just an idea for next time, if there is a next time. Let us use our Pro Controllers. We have them. They're lovely. Of course, all that said, there's some endgame left to talk about. It's no Pokemon Emerald, but you can re-challenge gyms, you can re-challenge the Elite Four, and of course you can battle Pokemon Masters who will test your skill with a single Pokemon of your choosing. So there's a bit to do here and there after the main game is over. Of course, there's online elements and catching them all, so let's talk about catching them all. When I went back to round out my decks in the post-game, I did notice the amount of fun I was having with the game dropped off dramatically, mostly because it was the root of the game, a catching mechanic, and it's just not that fun for me. And since that's really core to the game, I feel like it reduced my enjoyment of the product overall, even if it was less noticeable during the story. The other post-game elements are the gym leader rematches and master trainers. Starting out the rematches, I dig this feature. I think it's something that Pokemon should have had since day one and never removed. Although I do think it should pop up closer to mid-game than end-game. It does add a lot to this game, which has an already limited amount of battling. And lastly, Pokemon Masters, individual trainers who will 1v1 me bro with a top-tier Rattata of our choosing. I unlocked the Eevee Masters title so easily that it made me a bit sad, so I'm hoping the rest of them are a bit more challenging, but of course there's 151 of them, or so. And again, it's another welcome addition, and something that I kinda hope comes back in future titles. Of course, this brings us to the online portions of the game, which, yeah, boy. I was expecting a lot more here than what we got. All we have is the most bare bones trading and battling. I don't have much to say here except the lack of the GTS global trade system is a huge misstep in any Pokemon game these days. And of course the room password feature is kind of not great. And this, of course, will bring us to our final verdict. At the end of the day, I'm still as mixed on this game as I was before buying and playing it. Like, I love how cute it is. I adore the everything about the partner Pokemon Eevee and just how adorable it is. And I love some of the positive changes that I mentioned, like the item finder and follower Pokemon. Battling remains the same as ever, and that's not a bad thing, but the bad elements of the game do drag it down a lot. If we at least had the choice to swap back to the bob and catch system of the mainline games, I'd add 2 to 3 points to my final score. And I did have fun with the main story, but there's more to the game than just the main story. I really want to give this a slightly above average score of 6 out of 10, but the sheer cute factor is going to make me bump it up at least 1 because I am horrible like that. So I'm going to give this a final score of 7 out of 10. It's an enjoyable experience mostly, until you think too hard about the endgame elements and the catching and whatnot. Of course, the online portion of the game could have used some second or third looks, even. Of course, this isn't really a review, it's a MEW. Meaning that all this is just my opinion, and at the end of the day, I'm just a voice in your head coming from a magical internet box, so your mileage may vary. Wait a second. Something seems off here. Why did I never find an old rod? I never found any rod, did I? They removed fishing? 0 out of 10. Literally unplayable. So that is the pilot episode of MEW. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, leave a comment, do the likey thing, subscribe, tell a friend. Best way to help the channel outgrow growth is to tell a friend, because, well, YouTube doesn't do organic growth, and organic growth on BitChute is a bit slow, so yes, tell a friend. Tell all your friends, even your family. Spam it to them on Facebook. Any case, I shall see you in the next one. Hope you enjoyed. Till then, whoosh.